going to see.
Test 1 2 Kukia Imauna, test 1 2 free Palestine. Could we actually have everybody come on this side so that we don't have our back facing anybody? And then we can pull up, we can have a circle after, but I think that would be good if we can see everybody.
How much energy? Oh, I see. Does it have the fast energy?
No.
I mean, I'll make sure they do that.
Okay. I'll be back.
And I need, if you see Sharon, I need Robo.
Let me just hang with you, that you have too much to manage.
We come here in a good way, in a humble way, to be in solidarity and to be in sacred alignment, all of you, and with Palestine and Gaza. We walk gently on this earth, knowing that we are from Hawaii and Mokupuni, and so all of the offerings that we bring here alongside our Honolulu is made up of women of Oahu and Hawaii Island. We present our presence as Hawaii in a humble way. Before we do this pule, I just want to hapai this manao that solidarity is sacred. And sacred means, very simply, that it gives life. And when we look at what our charge is as human beings, it is to give and support life, and it is not our birthright to take away life. So what is happening right now goes against all of the creeds of the soul and of the spirit and who we truly are. And so for me, as a Hawaiian person, as a Kanaka, my solidarity is rooted in the fact that Palestine came to our mountain. When we asked the world to turn their eyes to Hawaii, when we asked the world for support, they came, and Palestine came, and they brought their kafir, and brought their flag to be flown at the base of our mountain with all of the other nations that came to stand with us. We made a promise on the Allah. We made a promise that we would do anything that we can. So when anybody called from a nation that came to stand with us, that we would do the same. And so I hope that these spaces, these rallies, these marches help us remember that. Help our people in Hawaii remember that we have a sacred responsibility to Palestine. In the 1800s, our Kupuna were already writing Palestine on all of the maps, already acknowledging this waki as Palestine from the 1800s. Our Kupuna is not short-lived, it's long, and it is forever. And so, mahalo nui to Fatima and for every single organizer, every single person that has constantly shown up here on Oahu, mahalo ki'a. I invite you to take a deep breath. A deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. I invite you to call in one ancestor of yours by name to stand with you today. We say we call in the kini, the mano, the lehu. the 40, the 400, the 4,000, the 40,000. When we come anywhere, when we put our feet anywhere, we are standing with the multitudes of ancestors that come with us. So I ask you to ask your kupuna to stand with you. I ask you to tap into what you need right now. Ground yourself. Because this is heartbreaking. There's a lot of real feelings. Rage, grief, anger, hurt, aloha. So let's ground those feelings to the earth so that our message can hapai together, be lifted and carried together. And then I invite you to just call in your full presence. Anything that you're thinking about outside, cast that away. And be present here. And think about the sacred place that you love and the people that you come from and bring that mana into this space. And in the center, let's put Palestine in the middle of our circle. All of the people who have become ancestors far before their times. Let's put them in the circle. And let's remember that this is real. This is very real. And the pain is real. What we have seen is real. And real people are suffering through this genocide. And it is brutal and horrific. So if you need to cry, it's okay. It's okay to feel it. And it's okay to ask to be held. It's okay to ask for people to help hold the space for you as you process your feelings. Okay? It's okay. We get to feel everything. So I'm going to invite the Halehau man to come and stand with me. And we are going to offer a pule called Pule Aina. And Pule Aina speaks about the devastation of the land and the people and what comes after it if we make right decisions, correct decisions. And so it's a pule that talks about the sprouts that come up, the new growth that comes up. And I want to invite you to join us in that intention for Hawaii, for Palestine, and every single place and every single people that are suffering right now. And to remember that you have that capacity, that your pule is powerful and it matters. Your prayers are powerful and they matter. And even if you don't know Olelo Hawaii, now you know what it means. And so you can open your eyes or you can close your eyes, whatever you need to do, but this is our opportunity to ground in our collective intention to be here for Palestine. Hallelujah. Free Palestine. And so now we're going to offer up this pule, and so in whatever way that you need to hold that space for yourself, you are welcome to.
pauke a e me ke kawau, I pauke kuropia me ka peru kai, I pauka briana a laila, I ho pepu, ho emu, hui kala, malapa kai, ka mangi ho e na kue.
So we're just going to cut Kadima and tie. Cut Kadima. Cut Kadima. Cut Kadima.
Hi everyone, I'd like to introduce Masar.
Okay, so I'm going to first thank everybody for coming out, and then we're going to do a prayer in Arabic, and then we're going to follow that with chant. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a pause, and if you guys, so I'm going to say something in Arabic, it's like a prayer, and then you guys just follow it with Amen or Ameen, which basically means like Amen, basically. Okay. اللهم انصر الناس في غزة. اللهم افرج عن أهل غزة. اللهم انصر أولاد وشباب وبنات غزة. يا رب افرج عنهم وبلغهم بأحلى عيد وفرج عنهم يا رب. Thank you. So, what do we want? Ceasefire. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Ceasefire. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Ceasefire. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Ceasefire. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Ceasefire. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Ceasefire. When do we want it? Now. Okay, so this speech, I actually worked on it for a week, so bismillah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming out today. Today's rally speaks volume. Today we did not come out to call on people from the streets. Today we are calling on the legislators to tell them and to demand that Gaza is in dire need of a permanent ceasefire. Without further ado, what are we? Strip yourself of the titles of what you are wearing. Underneath all of that, what are you? Do you not have the same heart that pumps blood? Do you not have a mind that allows you to think? God created us all. In God's eyes, we are all equal. Who are you to decide whether or not Palestinians get to live in their homeland of Palestine? You cannot convince me that because of your title of work or position in office, you have to remain unbiased, that you have to remain neutral. If there's ever a position and it asks of me to become inhumane, that asks me to support the occupation of any country, my response will be, not within my lifetime. To occupy and to dehumanize a population in their land is to be the devil himself. Silent when a colleague makes a mistake. But when a damn state carries out genocide on it wasn't and it will never be in America's favor. At least 10,000 children were killed in 2 months. 10,000 children were killed in 2 months, and more than 20,000 Palestinians were killed in total. And it's not stopping there. It's not stopping there because America, the land of the so-called free, is aiding it. We are not free. The First Amendment is a lie. What part of pursuing an education to make a difference only to end up in debt is free? Oh boy, that gave you a headache. You better get that checked out. But wait, you must choose which arm or leg you're willing to pay with, because the cost of living is high, but you can only land a minimum wage job because finishing school is death sentence. Now tell me, how are we free? We're brainwashed as kids to believe that America is the land of the free. There's nothing free about not being able to stop a genocide when we have the power to do so. Just stop the killing. But of course, that doesn't matter to you. They're not your family being ruthlessly murdered, nor are they your homes being demolished. I've seen videos of an injured Palestinian with their intestines out on a table. He was still alive. I've seen Palestinians carry out a man's dead body with his head crushed flat. I've seen a boy picking up pieces of his family's remains. I broke down crying. I feel guilty. We lead protests, organize events, we fundraise, but that's still not enough. We need a permanent ceasefire. It was never, and it should never be complicated. Complicated matters are when you don't know which school you want to go into debt with. But when a genocide is committed, you just have to be human to know it needed to end that same day that it began. And we all know it didn't start on October 7th. As congressmen, as lawyers, as representatives, come on, as humans, represent us, represent being human. We bleed the same blood, your blood and my blood. Our blood is not any better than the blood that spills by the gallon now in Gaza. If you can't make a change living in America, I suggest you take down the degree you have hanging on your wall. It serves no purpose. You're telling me you studied, worked hard to achieve your titles, only not to be able to make a change? Honestly speaking, if you cannot stop a genocide, who can? Who will? How many more need to die before it ends? I've seen individuals in the 30s making more of a difference in this country, for this country, than these legislators who call themselves educated. I know damn well I don't need to go to college for 4 years, and then an optional 4 years to know that Israel has been committing crimes against the state of Palestine for the past 75 years. More than ever now, as a Palestinian, and most importantly, as a human being, I take on this title of changing history, making a difference, and actually making America indeed the land of the free. Great because of the minorities and for the immigrants that came and sacrificed everything and left behind families and generations. They left their land in hopes for a brighter future. We are Arabs, we are Hawaiian, Filipino, Mexican, Chinese, Japanese, Native American, African American. We are America, and today while we stand side by side, in our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians.
Stop the war machine!
Free, free Palestine!
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 Thank you all for being here. My name is Fatima Abed. I'm sure that when some people hear my full name, Fatima Ghassan Abed, if you immediately think terrorist when you hear my name, if you immediately feel like I'm an oppressed Arab woman that is standing here when you hear my name, if you feel that I am uneducated as I stand here when you hear my name, this legislators, this is for you. I am Puerto Rican and Palestinian. My parents met in Brooklyn, as many love stories start. So, my dad is now back home in West Bank with my stepmother and my siblings. And I have two sisters who have their own families. And when I went over there, just even going through Tel Aviv Ben Gurion was a nightmare. As an American coming from Hawaii, I won't even go into details because our speakers have their own stories to share. But I will tell you some of the things that I experienced and some of the things I learned as my family has lived back in West Bank, back home for the past 20 or so years. This did not start October 7th. They will tell you that it started with Hamas attacking October 7th. That is not what happened. This has been going on for over 70 years. Months before October 7th, my dad in Ramallah, which is supposed to be a better area that doesn't actually see a lot of IOF trafficking, told me that in the living room of his apartment, somebody from IOF threw a smoke bomb into his house. Can you imagine sitting in your own living room with your family, with your grandchildren, small, my nephews, maybe about, at that time, the one had a birthday recently, I want to say maybe about 2 years old. And the smoke was so encompassing that my stepmother, who had asthma, got very sick. And my nephews were lucky that nothing had happened to them. It was enough to make my dad afraid that he wanted to sell his house that my grandfather built in West Bank, in the middle of all of the oppression they've already been facing. This is a heartbreaking decision, and it's just one of many stories. One other story I'd like to share before I go into introductions and pass off the mic. I was shopping in Jerusalem with my sister, and I bought some incense from a local shop. Well, I was walking around with an open bag, like most people do. In fact, we carry around tote bags every single day. Do we ever think of closing them? She said to me, "I need you to close your bag." And I said, "Why?" And she's like, "Please, Fatima, close your bag." So I closed my bag, I tied it up in a knot. As we were walking past many, many soldiers who are literally everywhere, you walk by them, they can do anything they want to you at any moment in a public place. My sister whispers to me, "Let me tell you what happened." She said, "Your cousin, he was shopping one day. He went to get groceries. On his way back, he was carrying his bag out and he was on his way to go home to his family. An IOF soldier slipped a knife into his bag. They called his name, or they called for him rather, to get his attention. He turned around to look at them and they shot him in the head. Boom. Boom. That's all it took. And I guarantee you they laughed after that. We cannot stand on our own land. People have not even seen the ocean that live in West Bank. They live 30 minutes away from it. They are all civilians, while IOF, everybody in Israel is forced to go into the military. They are not civilians. They are trained to kill us whenever they want. There are curfews that if an Arab breaks a curfew, they are murdered. My sister's car has been shot at so many times with my nephew in the back seat because she came back after 6 p.m. and they enjoy it. This is part of Zionism culture. And I want to make it clear there is a difference between Jews and Zionists. And I know that will be talked about later. So this is not against Jewish people at all. We stand in solidarity with Jewish Voice for Peace. We stand in solidarity for those who stand up against injustice. But we condemn Zionism, as you always ask us, do we condemn Hamas? Do you condemn all of the 30,000 people who have been lost in just a few months compared to the 70 years of oppression that they do not tell you on Western media? That being said, I am so glad that everybody is here to hear all of our stories. Thank you to the representatives who are supportive, who are here to listen to our voices, who came out And thank you, I want to give a shout out. I know this is not Maisie's home right now in the house, but I want to give a shout out to Maisie Hirono being one of the 11 senators who actually voted for an investigation into Israel. And I think that's important, that needs to be celebrated. So the purpose of this is to raise a call to the introduction and adoption of a resolution of the Hawaii State Legislature calling for an immediate, permanent ceasefire, in Gaza, and for the opening of negotiations for a lasting peace. A peace that includes the liberation of all Palestinians. If the Hawaii Legislature were to adopt such a resolution, it would mean that the legislative branch of our state government is publicly and officially calling for a ceasefire. This would send a signal to our congressional delegation, Ed Case, Jill Takuda, and the federal government that Hawaii's people demand an end to the indiscriminate killing of Palestinian civilians in Gaza immediately, the West Bank, and throughout the occupied Palestinian territories and Israel. Adopting a ceasefire resolution at the state level will add to the growing pressure on Congress to then adopt the federal ceasefire resolution introduced by Representative Cori Bush, thereby ratcheting up the pressure on the Biden administration to exercise its immense influence over Israel to finally intervene and stop this senseless bloodshed. Our speakers today are rooted in communities and lands from across the world, varied, unique, and special, and sharing in a common struggle for liberation. They are Palestinian, Kanaka Mali, Filipino, Jewish, Puerto Rican, and they are here to share their stories. And through these stories, the connections and commonalities between our peoples. They are here in recognition of the need for us to support one another and stand in solidarity against colonialism, militarism, white supremacy, and patriarchy. They are harmful to everybody. So, give it up for our next speaker. Here. Do I have to?
Hi everybody. It's not something that I consciously thought of when I was younger. I'm half Palestinian, half American, but even my American side of my family consists of many cultures. There was one moment where this all changed for me. It was my first year of middle school, when somebody that I thought that was my friend, I'm loud, and I will show you all my colors, even if they're not ones that even they are ones that you will hate. On the other hand, being a Palestinian American who doesn't speak Arabic was something that put me apart from other Arabs and or Arab Americans in my vicinity. I couldn't speak the language, so I wasn't Arab enough. And as such, I was the butt end of all the jokes. Because of this experience, I distanced myself even more from my Palestinian culture. It was either get teased or hide your ethnicity and fit in. I chose to fit in. Again, silenced by my own preconception of what I thought people looked at me as, but I've started the process of reclaiming my identity, not to be shaped in the image of others, but to be made into the best version I can make myself to be. The start of this was me saying, with pride, I am a Palestinian American, I am Palestinian, and no one can take that from me, not even myself. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? Okay. Aloha mai kako, and thank you so much for being here today. You being here really matters. And so I'm also going to ask you to just turn to the person next to you and also thank them for coming today. My name is Sarah Yukimoto Saltman. I am a queer Asian American mixed race person. I am anti-Zionist Jewish on my dad's side and Nisei or second generation Japanese on my mom's side. My childhood, born and raised with class privilege as an Asian settler on unceded Kanaka Maoli land, fortified my lifelong commitment to dismantling systems of white supremacy, and also compels me to be here today as an anti-Zionist Jewish person demanding a ceasefire in the ongoing genocide against Palestinian people. Yeah. I am also here today speaking as a member of Jewish Voices for Peace, JVP's Hawaii chapter. It is hard to put words to the unending devastation, anger, grief, and outrage I have felt in the past 109 days. As I have witnessed my Palestinian siblings experience a genocide at the hands of the Israeli and the United States government. Let me be clear. Zionism is not Judaism, and anti-Zionism, or opposing the Zionist apartheid state of Israel, is not anti-Semitic.
Say it again for the people upstairs.
I hope you all up there heard that. As an anti-Zionist Jewish person of color myself, it is my moral, political, and spiritual imperative to reject the colonial violence of Zionism. Thank you. Today, knowing that the plight of my Jewish ancestors is currently being used as a rationale to wage genocide against Palestinians is something that I refuse to accept. And I say, as loud as my voice will carry, not in my name. In 2023, last year, the United States funneled $18.1 billion of money and weapons to the Israeli government. Shame. While in Lahaina and across the Hawaiian Islands, many of our people struggle to afford housing. Shame. The United States gives money to Israel as a mechanism to maintain its dominance in the world. This is the same reason that the US stole these islands from Kanaka Maoli people almost exactly 131 years ago. Shame. Thus, for all of us here today who are not indigenous to this place, the call for a free Palestine must also be coupled with the commitment to indigenous sovereign Hawaii. This means that as we fight for a free Palestine, we also fight for Hawaiian sovereignty and the liberation of all peoples who have experienced the violence of displacement and militarism. As we fight for a free Palestine, we imagine a world where we do not fund war, but instead we put our resources towards community, towards housing, education, healthcare, and caring for our Aina. I know that my safety and my liberation as a Jewish person is bound up in the liberation of Palestinians. To this end, I am calling on Hawaii State Legislature, lawmakers, all of you up there that are hearing us today, to join your courageous colleagues in both the legislature and U.S. Congress to demand a permanent and lasting ceasefire in Gaza. Now, 2 invitations for you all. The first is, please introduce yourself to others today. Let us get to know each other. Let us affirm each other in our outrage and hold each other in our grief. We need each other in this movement if we are to win. The second invitation is to plug in. There are many groups represented here today who have made this event possible and are working tirelessly to plan ongoing actions in Hawaii for Palestine. So if you are part of Citizens for Peace, Hawaii for Palestine, Rise for Palestine, SJPUH, or JVP, I'm gonna ask you to please raise your hand high. Yeah. And you can keep them up. For others who are looking to get involved and maybe not sure how to plug in or a little nervous, please, I invite you to go up to one of these people with their hand raised, introduce yourself, and exchange numbers. We are so excited to get to know you, and we welcome you to join us. As Miriam Kaba, a Black abolitionist organizer, says, may we continue to practice hope as a discipline. And may we continue to build towards a free Palestine together. Mahalo nui.
Aloha mai kātou. O Alaka'i Kapanui ko inoa, no ho Duamish mai au, me ka Ahupua o lani hau, I ka āpana o Kona, makamotu o ki ave, to uwahi, e noho nei. Aloha, my name is Alaka'i Kapanui. I'm coming to you from the occupied Duwamish territory, also known as Seattle. I currently have the privilege and koleana of living in the Wahipana of Maitupuna, which is the Ahupua of Lanihau in the district of Kona on the island of Hawaii Nui. Aloha no. I'm speaking to you today not just as a Kanaka Maoli and Oiwi, but as a Jewish person, a person of Jewish descent. So I am not very familiar with public speaking. I've seen what's happening in Palestine, in Gaza, in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, and I've seen the effects of what the illegal occupation of Hawaiian lands has done to Kanaka. The two struggles are not separate. They are not exclusive from each other. In fact, we see very clearly the pilina between the illegal states of Hawaii and Israel. We see clearly the military occupation that Kanaka Oiwi and Palestinians endure side by side as indigenous peoples through sister settler colonial projects. We see clearly the relationship that has been deliberately fostered between Israel and the state of Hawaii. This is made apparent to us through many avenues, but most obvious is HR 125, which is headed by the statement commending the U.S. and the nation of Israel for their commitment to democracy, human rights, and the strengthening of relationship through the U.S.-Israel Economic Strategic Partnership. I see no commitment to democracy. I see no commitment to human rights as Israel indiscriminately murders unarmed Palestinian civilians, primarily women and children, simply for existing. And as the state of Hawaii invests in and capitalizes off of our military occupiers who poison our lands, bomb our sacred cultural sites, and destroy our access to clean and healthy traditional foods, all for your bottom line. HR 125 was written and adopted in 2013. That is over a decade of advocacy from a state that should not exist to another state that should not exist. And to that, we, as the Oiwi and Kama'aina of Hawaii, say a'ole, a'ole, a'ole. The Hawaiian people have never and will never stand for an illegal military occupation of another people because we know that experience. We have felt that for almost 131 years. In fact, we commemorated and resisted that illegal occupation in this very spot less than a week ago. For the last 131 years, the provisional government that was ruled to be insurgent and unconstitutional by then President Grover Cleveland has pillaged and raped our lands, waters, oceans, culture, and very literally our people. We know this because it happens daily at Kabukaki, at Mauna Kea, at Pohakuloa, and on every square inch of our Aina and Moana. We know this because it happens every 2 years when the state of Hawaii allows an influx of over 30 militaries from 30 foreign nations to dock in Hawaiian harbors and play war games. This event is called Rim of the Pacific, or RIMPAC, and it is the world's largest international maritime warfare exercise. It is held biannually, and so every 2 years, Israeli occupying forces come here and participate in these so-called games. They play games in our water, killing our sea life and desecrating Honolulu. They play games on Hawaiian homelands at Pohakuloa, where they poison our water aquifer using white phosphorus, depleted uranium, and lead. The IOF comes to our Aina and enjoys our home, our culture, and our wahine every 2 years, and then they turn around and take that training back to the indigenous peoples of Palestine, where they bomb, murder, torture, and rape, having learned it here and having tested it here. As it stands, the state of Hawaii is actively participating in the ongoing genocide of Kanaka Oiwi, be it literal or cultural, and is supportive and therefore complicit in the genocide towards the Palestinians. That is 2 genocides too many. And so we, the Oiwi of these lands, stand alongside our Palestinian ohana, as our kupuna have done today, from their funding of and investment of genocide, from their destructive ideology. Our provisional representative do not consent to the funding and investment support the foster and permanent ceasefire.
Aloha, my name is Okiabe, and and I'm talking today off by reading a poem called I Come, and regarded as Palestine's national poet. Born as mortals are, I have a mother, with a cold window, an extra blade of grass, and the immortal olive trees. I walked with. I come from there, to make myself known to a returning cloud. Break the rule. I learned all you think of. Were your home, your town, your fruit. Grow up, ancestors, for hundreds or thousands. Timeline of your ancestors and your you know this the story of this land. Grandmother, for this is just as those before her, that you belong to this land and led to the existence anywhere other than that your family, your community, grandmother, from the only place to the uncle, has suddenly had to give up his sleep on flattened cardboard under forced out of our homeland in Bhutan, suddenly vanished, been stolen from them. To live out their years on, seized, to easily dismissed as plans to expand, dominate, and grow their holdings. Mother has put into the soil with not acknowledge the joy in the surrounding valleys, the mountains more than they take to this place. They will not honor people separated from the land and grandchildren. Fill them with a sense of loss that can never genocide, ethnic cleansing, our children will never forget. From who were forced into refugee camps in Nepal to them in the physical realm. And that day never came within their lives. Go and continue to fight just to exist in your homeland. Stay in your homeland.
Grateful to be standing before you. I just want to, and I want you to know that you are so beautiful. Sees for our people, for indigenous people everywhere. His face. I'm Victoria and I'm a Christian. I know that the world has, but I'm here to tell you that my mother is from Bethlehem and my father, and all of my life I have wished, I fill oceans, my tears could fill the world. I have cried and stopped the hand of the wicked against my people. My little girl, my parents used to me is pray. Don't stop praying. Keep. They're not going to believe what we have to say. So what God, please stop the hand of the wicked against my people. I joined the United States Army Israel. I don't believe God does anything on accident. I don't have the time to talk about all and them telling me, I hope that a Palestinian dog jumps over this fence because I was given a direct order not to tell anybody I was Palestinian. I remember the IOF soldiers laughing and mocking us. Need you. That didn't just hit me in my room, that we are being used. Own people who are innocent. My family. I was sick. Me in the airport for 4 hours, denying me water or to call my uncle who was staying outside. They threw my luggage on the floor, emptied it 4 times, and did not care that I was born in America. So when I hear people say to me, for 42 years, I have been, my heart continues not just to pray for my people, silent. He wants us to pray without stopping. My uncle, God rest his soul, he was a priest in the nativity of the people. My grandma, God rest, and anytime I asked her, that has become the motto of my life. When people say, I have something to read to in October, children in the Gaza streets. I wake up crying, Lord, I cannot sleep. They try to flee. Where can I be in a prison with no way to get out? And no more Jew to see. The Zionists place the blame and the shame on religion, in the air that we breathe. They're trying to shame us and to blame us and snatch away our identity. That's who we are when God's the one that made us. Different is over the top, sick, twisted universe I've never been on, where wrong is called right and the truth on every news station proclaiming, God, but you've lost this hand. 75 years of a barbaric bombardment, holding people hostage and then trying to do with no fear the world is watching you. Letting the district for something that they didn't do. Then you turn around and You claim we're on the wrong side of history. Tell me, when did Jesus ever sit back, relax, and watch people bleed? The West, relevant, puppet masters, using the world as their stage. In the palm of your hands, you think we don't. Your face to what's happening. Money doesn't taste as good as what kind of wicked world will your children end? Massacring civilians with your sadistic plans. Don't get too step to you, forgetting that God is still the mighty judge at night, in the peace of your home with no one in sight. In blood on your dirty hands that define with a purpose, and the rest is not up to you. Lying, trying to erase family ties, staying their whole existence. Some fully support their ideology and theology. Double standards are sickening. Valuing one life over the other repulses, and the truth remains that lives are being slaughtered, and some people still won't live every state without a conscience of Palestinian people starving. If being done to the Palestinians on your fake news, wake up to them. Just a simple note, a shout out to our government. We see you're standing with our brothers and sisters across the nations, fighting. Hear us and begin to heal the nations. To all the true Jews taking the sea and greed are the truth to their mission, what their next agenda looks to be. With your fury, your mission to expand beyond trying to uproot our connection, but our roots run deeper than 800,000 olive trees. Placing cameras on the walls, no water pressing you. Still won't listen. Don't say. This rage is about racist discrimination. It's a threat all throughout the nations. Feeling puffed up, enjoying your bloody deals with. Speak truth before your ancestors have given you multiple examples where that it's too late to turn around and change this. The real hero, I have to tell you what I'm saying.
Their stories. Wakak, and I'm a second generation Philippines in the 70s and the 80s. I'm in with you in for Native, Black, and is at the core and are committed. Is a product of the aforementioned always be a feminist. Our Palestinian relatives were orchestrated by the violent evil without the unrelenting support of the United States, and the return of Palestinian siblings. And when we say land back, bodies back, is a future free from the creating a future and waters flow. Relatives reclaim the respected, is cared for, and every body is higher, and move legislators, their oppressors, and affirm the right of Palestinians. Israeli occupation will be the first day of true project in Hawaii and other
Palestine is fucking nice.